I need a break. 4 simple words that shattered my world on an otherwise ordinary Tuesday evening. Alex didn't even look up from his phone when he said it, as if he were commenting on the weather or asking me to pass the salt. I'm Lorelei, and until that moment, I thought I was living the kind of life people envied. 10 years of marriage, a beautiful colonial house in the suburbs, and a husband who still brought me coffee in bed every morning. At least, he used to. A break, I repeated, my wine glass frozen halfway to my lips. What do you mean, a break? Space. Time to think. He finally looked up, but his eyes were distant like he was already gone. It's not you, it's... Don't. My voice came out sharper than I intended. Don't you dare finish that sentence. He shrugged, and that casual gesture hurt more than any words could. I'll stay at the lake house for a while, clear my head. Within an hour, he'd packed a bag and left. I sat alone in our kitchen, staring at his half-empty coffee mug still warm. The silence felt like a physical presence, pressing against my skin. My sister Michaela showed up the next morning without calling first. "Oh, honey," she cooed, wrapping her arms around me. Her perfume was overwhelming, something new and expensive. I came as soon as I heard. "How did you hear?" I asked, pulling away. "I haven't told anyone yet." "Oh, you know, family gossip." She waved her hand dismissively and started opening my cupboards like she owned the place. "Where's your good coffee? The Colombian one Alex always brings?" I watched her move through my kitchen with unsettling familiarity. She'd been coming around more often lately, always when Alex was home. Always with some flimsy excuse about needing sisterly advice or borrowing something. The family barbecue 3 weeks later was excruciating. Alex showed up because my mother insisted. "We're all adults here, Lorelei." He stood by the grill with my father, laughing too loudly at jokes that weren't funny. Michaela fluttered around them both, touching Alex's arm when she spoke, her voice carrying across the yard. "He's just going through something," my mother said, appearing beside me with a plate of deviled eggs. "Men do that sometimes. Remember when your father bought that ridiculous motorcycle?" "Dad didn't move out," I replied, watching Michaela lean in close to whisper something in Alex's ear. He smiled, but wouldn't meet my eyes. That evening, after everyone left, I started cleaning up. Michaela had insisted on helping, but somehow managed to disappear when the actual work began. I gathered wine glasses from the patio table, counting them automatically. 7 people, 7 glasses. Except there were 8. The extra glass had a perfect coral-coloured lipstick print on its rim, the same shade Michaela always wore. But she'd arrived after we'd started drinking, bringing her own glass of wine from inside. This one had been here before she came. I held the glass up to the fading light, something cold and hard forming in my chest. The lipstick mark seemed to mock me, like a signature on a confession I wasn't meant to find. My phone buzzed, a text from Michaela. "Had to run, but don't worry, I'll come check on you tomorrow. You shouldn't be alone right now." I stared at the message, then back at the wine glass. The pieces were there, refusing to form the picture I didn't want to see. My sister's increasing presence in my house, Alex's sudden need for space, the way they both looked anywhere but at me. "You're being paranoid," I whispered to myself, but my hand shook as I washed the glass, watching the lipstick dissolve under the hot water. The evidence disappeared down the drain, but the questions remained, multiplying in the growing darkness of my empty house. I took a picture of the glass before washing it, just in case, just because. My finger hovered over Melina's number in my contacts. My best friend would know what to do. She always did, but I couldn't press call. Not yet. Not until I was sure. Another text from Michaela lit up my phone. "Love you, sis. Everything happens for a reason." I set the phone face down on the counter and poured myself another glass of wine. The house creaked and settled around me, full of shadows I'd never noticed before. In the morning, I would start asking questions. But tonight, I let myself sit in the dark, watching the security light flicker in the backyard, wondering when exactly my perfect life had become a lie. You need to stop playing Nancy Drew and just ask them straight up, Melina said, stirring her coffee with unnecessary force. We were sitting in her kitchen, away from prying eyes and familiar faces. Or, better yet, hire someone who does this for a living. I'd spent the past week casually dropping questions into conversations. How's the lake house, Alex? Oh, you were in town yesterday, Michaela. Funny, I thought you had that dental appointment across the city. I can't just accuse my sister of sleeping with my husband, I said, but even saying the words out loud made my stomach turn. What if I'm wrong? Melina's eyes narrowed. Are you wrong, though? Because that lipstick story is pretty damning. There could be an explanation. Yeah, and I could be the Queen of England. She pulled out her phone. I know someone. His name's Terence, he's discreet, and he owes me a favour. A private investigator? That seems extreme. You know what's extreme? Your sister's sudden interest in being your personal grief counsellor. Melina's fingers flew over her phone screen. Or how about Alex needing a break after 10 years of supposedly happy marriage? Before I could protest further, my own phone chimed. A text from Michaela. Using my spare key to drop off some groceries. Hope you don't mind. I showed Melina the message. Since when does she have a spare key? Since. Never, I replied, already grabbing my purse. I never gave her one. Well, there's your answer. Melina stood up. I'm coming with you. We arrived at my house 15 minutes later. Michaela's car was in the driveway, but she wasn't alone. Alex's BMW was parked on the street. Stay in the car, I told Melina, my heart pounding. Just give me a minute. I used my key as quietly as possible, but it didn't matter. They were too distracted to hear me. Their voices drifted from the living room, casual and comfortable, like they belonged there together. She's always been like this, Michaela was saying. So proper, so perfect. The golden child who never puts a foot wrong. I know. Alex's voice, tired and familiar. Everything has to be just so with her. It's exhausting. You poor thing. Michaela's tone dripped with false sympathy. Having to live up to St. Lorelei's standards all these years. I stood in the hallway, my hand pressed against the wall for support. Through the partially open door, I could see their reflections in the window. Michaela perched on the arm of Alex's chair, her hand on his shoulder. My phone buzzed. Melina. You okay in there? The sound made them jump apart. I pushed the door open, forcing a smile. Oh, I didn't expect anyone to be here. Just dropping off some things, Michaela chirped, too bright, too quick. And I ran into Alex outside. He needed to pick up some files. From the living room? I asked innocently. Alex stood up, straightening his tie. They're in my office. I'll grab them and go. Take your time, I said, watching Michaela's face. Mi casa es su casa. Isn't that right, sis? She flushed slightly but recovered quickly. Don't be silly. I just worry about you. All alone in this big house. After they left, separately 10 minutes apart, Melina came inside. She took one look at my face and pulled out her phone again. Terence? Yeah, it's Melina. Remember that favour? I'm calling it in. She paused, listening. No, this needs to be more subtle. We need eyes inside. What are you thinking? I asked. Nanny cams, she replied. Small, motion-activated, completely silent. We can hide them in plain sight, inside books, decorative pieces, that fancy clock on your mantel. That's illegal, isn't it? In your own home, where you still legally reside. Not even close. She squeezed my hand. Besides, if they're not doing anything wrong, what's the problem? 2 days later, Terence installed 3 cameras, living room, kitchen, and foyer. They connected directly to my phone through a secure app. I felt sick doing it. like I was becoming someone I didn't recognize. But then, Michaela showed up again, letting herself in while I was at work. I watched the notification pop up on my phone. Motion detected in living room. My finger hovered over the alert. Did I really want to know? Could I handle seeing whatever was waiting in that footage? Another text from Michaela arrived. Hope you don't mind me borrowing your house for a bit. Just needed somewhere quiet to make some calls. I took a deep breath and opened the app. Sometimes the only way forward is through the fire. And I had a feeling things were about to get very, very hot. The first video was innocent enough. Michaela wandering around my living room, touching things, taking selfies on my couch. The second showed her and Alex having coffee, maintaining a respectable distance. But the third video changed everything. I sat in my parked car outside work, watching the footage on my phone. My hands were shaking so badly I had to restart it twice. She's always been so smug about everything. Michaela's voice came through clearly as she lounged on my couch. Our couch, her feet in Alex's lap. Perfect job, perfect house, perfect husband. Not so perfect anymore. Alex laughed, running his hand up her leg. God, it's nice not having to pretend anymore. How long do you think until she figures it out? Lorelei? He snorted. She sees what she wants to see. Always, he's a has. I pressed pause, my stomach churning. Melina's voice came through my car's Bluetooth. Keep watching. It gets worse. I hit play again. The scene continued, their casual cruelty cutting deeper than any knife. We could just tell her, Michaela suggested, sitting up to kiss Alex's neck. Rip off the Band-Aid. No, Alex's voice turned serious. We need to be smart about this. The prenup has an infidelity clause. If she finds out about us, I lose everything. So what's the plan? Things would be easier if she just wasn't around anymore. My blood ran cold. Michaela sat up straighter, her eyes gleaming. What do you mean? Accidents happen all the time, Alex said, his tone casual, like he was discussing weekend plans. Brake lines fail. People slip in the shower, take too many sleeping pills. Michaela giggled. Actually giggled. You're terrible. I'm practical. Think about it. Grieving widower finds comfort in his sister-in-law. Nobody would question it after a respectable amount of time. Plus, Michaela added, I'd inherit her share of Dad's company. It's perfect. I stopped the video, bile rising in my throat. Melina's voice came through again. Lorelei, you still there? They're planning to kill me, I whispered. My husband and my sister are plotting my murder. We need to go to the police. With what? A video of them hypothetically discussing my death? They'll say they were joking. Then we wait, Melina said firmly. We gather more evidence. Every conversation, every meeting, every phone call. Terence can help with the technical stuff. I started the car, my mind racing. I need copies of everything, multiple copies in different locations. Already on it. Come to my place. We need to plan this carefully. At Melina's house, we watched more footage. Hours of it. Alex and Michaela getting bolder, more comfortable in their betrayal. Phone calls to unknown numbers about taking care of the problem. Discussions about which of my belongings they'd keep, which they'd donate for the grieving widower narrative. Look at this, Melina pointed to her laptop screen. Michaela's been researching untraceable poisons, and Alex made 3 calls to someone listed as mechanic last week. My phone buzzed. A text from Michaela. Family dinner tomorrow night? Mum's worried about you. Says you've been distant. Another buzz. Alex. We should talk about making the separation permanent. It's only fair to both of us. They're getting impatient, I said, showing Melina the messages. Good. Let them squirm. She opened a new file on her laptop. Now, about your parents' anniversary party next month. What about it? You said they're renting that fancy venue, the one with the big projection screen for photos. I nodded slowly, beginning to understand. And a professional sound system. Perfect. Melina's smile was sharp, because I think it's time everyone saw exactly who your sister and husband really are. I stared at the frozen video frame on her laptop. Alex and Michaela caught in their conspiracy, unaware they were writing their own downfall. My hands had stopped shaking. The sick feeling in my stomach had been replaced by something harder, colder. Send me everything, I said, pulling out my own laptop. Every video, every screenshot, every recorded call. I want to put together something special for the party. What are you thinking? I thought about Alex's casual cruelty, Michaela's gleeful betrayal, their shared contempt for my life, the life they planned to end. I'm thinking it's time for a family reunion they'll never forget. I started typing, my fingers steady on the keys. And I want them to see it coming, just a little, just enough to make them sweat. I picked up my phone and typed 2 replies. To Michaela, family dinner sounds perfect. I have so much to share. To Alex, you're right. Let's make it permanent. But first, we should celebrate Mom and Dad's anniversary. One last family gathering before everything changes. Are you sure about this? Melina asked. I looked at her, feeling calmer than I had in weeks. They wanted to write my ending. Instead, I'm going to write theirs. The key is to act normal, Terence said, spreading photos across Melina's dining room table. Let them think they're in control. The photos showed Alex meeting with someone in a parking garage, then Michaela at a cafe with the same man the next day. The man's face was obscured in both shots, but his leather jacket was distinctive. Your mechanic friend, I presume? I asked, picking up one of the photos. Good news is he's actually an undercover cop, Terence grinned. Bad news for them, they just tried to hire him to tamper with your car. Melina whistled low. That's attempted murder. It would be, if we had it on record. Terence's face darkened. Unfortunately, they were careful. Spoke in hypotheticals, used code words, nothing concrete enough for an arrest. My phone buzzed. Another text from Michaela. Missing you at yoga class. Remember how we used to go together? We should start again. I showed it to Melina, who rolled her eyes. She's never done yoga in her life. She wants to establish a routine, Terence explained. Create witnesses who'll say you spent time together regularly. It builds her grieving sister narrative. I typed back, that sounds lovely. Maybe next week? You're getting good at this, Melina observed. I learned from the best. I gestured to the photos. They taught me how to lie. The next few weeks were a masterclass in deception. I smiled through family dinners, laughed at Michaela's jokes, nodded sympathetically when Alex talked about finding himself. All while the cameras kept recording, catching every whispered conversation, every secret meeting. Your brake lines look good, my regular mechanic told me during a routine check. But someone's been tampering with your car. See these scratch marks? I took pictures, added them to the growing file. That evening, Alex called. I heard you had car trouble, he said, concern dripping from every word. You should have called me. Oh, it was nothing, I replied cheerfully. Just being extra careful these days. You know how accidents can happen. The silence on his end was satisfying. A new video notification popped up on my phone that night. Michaela was alone in my house again, pacing and talking on her phone. It's taking too long, she hissed to someone. We need to speed things up. No, I don't care how much it costs. Just make it look natural, okay? Like we discussed. I forwarded the clip to Terence, who called back immediately. We need to move up the timeline. They're getting desperate. The anniversary party is in 3 days, I said. Can we wait that long? I'll have people watching your house. And don't eat or drink anything they give you. That night, Michaela brought over dinner. Just like old times. I waited until she left, then threw it away. In the garbage, under the takeout containers, I found an empty pill bottle. The label had been scratched off. Got it, Terence said when I sent him a picture. That's evidence we can use. The next day, Alex and Michaela announced their engagement to the family. My mother called, crying. I don't understand, she sobbed. How could they do this to you? Don't worry, Mum, I said, watching my latest video upload complete. Everything will make sense at the party. Melina came over to help me prepare. We checked the video compilation one last time. Every damning conversation, every secret meeting, every calculated plan to end my life, all perfectly edited into a 10-minute presentation. The venue confirmed the technical setup, she said, and I've got backup copies just in case. They'll try to stop it, I said. Let them try. She squeezed my hand. The police will be there too, remember? Just waiting for the right moment. My phone lit up with a selfie from Michaela, her and Alex beaming at the camera. The caption read, "Can't wait to celebrate with the whole family. He seems so much happier now." You'll be okay, sis. Everything happens for a reason. I showed it to Melina, who snorted. She's right about one thing. Everything does happen for a reason. I looked at my reflection in the window. Calm, composed, alive. In 3 days, they would learn exactly what that reason was. You know what's funny? I said, picking up the latest surveillance photo. They thought I was the weak one, the predictable one, the one who would just fade away quietly. Their mistake, Melina replied. No, I smiled, watching the sunset outside. Their tragedy. I sent one last text to Michaela. You're right. Everything does happen for a reason, and I can't wait to share that reason with everyone at the party. Let them sweat, I thought. Let them wonder. In 3 days, they would learn that sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous. And I had learned to be very, very quiet. The Grand Plaza Ballroom sparkled with anniversary decorations, 40 years of marriage celebrated in gold and white. I arrived early, watching the technical crew test the sound system and projection screen. Everything's set up exactly as you requested, the lead technician said, handing me a remote. The file is loaded and ready. Just press this button when you want it to play. I slipped the remote into my clutch bag just as Michaela burst in, wearing a dress that was definitely not appropriate for our parents' anniversary. Lorelei, you're here so early, she air-kissed my cheek. I love that dress, very mature. Thanks, I smiled. I thought about wearing something shorter, but I didn't want to look like I was trying too hard. Her smile flickered for a second. Behind her, Alex walked in, immediately checking his phone like he always did when he was nervous. The happy couple, I said brightly. Have you told Mom and Dad your big news yet? We're waiting for the right moment, Michaela replied, touching Alex's arm possessively. Tonight's about them, after all. My phone buzzed. Melina. In position. Backup copy secure. Police on standby. Who's that? Michaela asked, trying to peek at my screen. Are you dating already? That seems fast. Just work, I lied smoothly. Speaking of which, how's that new job going? The one across town? She blinked. What job? Oh, sorry, I just assumed, since you've been making all those mysterious phone calls lately. My mistake. Alex's head snapped up from his phone. Michaela, can you help me with something outside? I watched them hurry out, their whispered argument carrying back through the door. What does she know? Nothing. She's fishing. Guests started arriving. My mother fussed with the photo displays while my father greeted everyone with his usual warm handshakes. Maxwell, Alex's father, arrived looking stern in his best suit. "Lorelei," he said, kissing my cheek. "You're looking well, all things considered." "Thank you, Maxwell. How's the family business?" "Thriving, though Alex seems distracted lately. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" I smiled mysteriously. "I'm sure all will become clear soon enough." The ballroom filled quickly. Melina positioned herself near the audio controls, catching my eye with a subtle nod. Terence texted that the police were in position outside, waiting for my signal. "Could I have everyone's attention?" Michaela's voice rang out through the microphone. "Alex and I have an announcement." My mother's face went pale as they stood together at the front of the room. Alex couldn't quite meet anyone's eyes as Michaela proudly displayed her left hand. "We're engaged!" she squealed. "We know it's unexpected, but when love hits you..." The room's reaction was a mix of awkward applause and shocked whispers. I counted slowly to 10, then stood up. "Actually," I said, my voice carrying clearly across the suddenly silent room, "I have an announcement too." "Lorelei," Alex warned, but I was already walking to the front. "This is inappropriate," Michaela hissed as I passed her. "It's Mom and Dad's night." "Oh, I think they'll want to hear this." I faced the crowd, feeling eerily calm. "It's actually a funny story about love, betrayal, and attempted murder." Alex lunged for my clutch bag, but I was faster. The remote was already in my hand. "Don't," he whispered. "Please." "Please what?" I asked loudly. "Please, don't show everyone who you really are. Please, don't reveal how you and my sister planned to kill me." Gasps echoed through the room. Maxwell stood up, his face thunderous. My mother grabbed my father's arm for support. "She's clearly unstable," Michaela announced, forcing a laugh. "Alex left her and now she's making up crazy stories." "Crazy stories?" I held up the remote. "Like the ones you told about brake lines and sleeping pills, the mysterious mechanic you hired, the poisoned dinner you brought over." Alex's face went white. Michaela's fake laugh died in her throat. "You're bluffing," she said, but her voice shook. "Am I?" I turned to the crowd. Would anyone like to see what a loving sister and devoted husband look like when they think no one's watching? "Lorelei," my mother pleaded, "don't do this." "I'm sorry, Mom," I said softly, "but some things need to be seen in the light." Alex made one last grab for the remote. I stepped back, my finger hovering over the play button. "You know what you both taught me?" I asked them quietly. "That sometimes the people closest to you are the ones you should trust the least. Want to show everyone what I learned?" The room held its breath. Michaela's mascara was starting to run. Alex's hands were shaking. I pressed play. The video started playing, and the room fell silent except for the crystal-clear audio from my hidden cameras. On screen, Alex and Michaela lounged on my couch, planning my death like they were planning a vacation. "Just make it look natural," Alex's voice echoed through the speakers. "Like an accident," Michaela's giggle followed. "Poor, clumsy Lorelei, always so trusting." Someone gasped. Probably my mother. I didn't turn to look. My eyes were fixed on Alex and Michaela's faces as they watched their own betrayal unfold on the massive screen. "Turn it off," Alex demanded, stepping towards the projection booth. Melina's voice cut through the chaos. "Stay right there, or the next clip shows your meeting with the mechanic." The video continued. Scene after scene of their secret meetings, their cruel laughter, their casual discussion of my death. The empty pill bottle, the scratched brake lines, the phone calls to their hired help. "She's editing these!" Michaela screamed, her mascara running down her face. "This isn't real." "Really?" I pulled out my phone. "Should we call the mechanic you hired?" Oh, wait, he's already here. A man in a leather jacket stood up from the back of the room. Detective Roberts, Major Crimes Unit. We've been watching you both for weeks. Maxwell walked slowly to the front of the room, his face carved from stone. He stopped in front of Alex, who seemed to shrink under his father's gaze. My son, Maxwell said quietly, the would-be murderer. Your mother would be ashamed. Dad, I can explain. Explain what? Maxwell's voice rose. How you conspired to kill your wife, how you seduced her sister, how you've destroyed this family. My father finally found his voice. Michaela, how could you? Daddy, please, Michaela sobbed, reaching for him. He stepped back, his face ashen. She always got everything. The company, the perfect marriage, your love. Love? My mother's voice cracked like a whip. You think this is about love? You plotted to murder your sister. The video reached the final clip. Michaela alone in my house, on the phone with their hired killer. Just get it done, she hissed in the recording. I don't care how, just make her disappear. Detective Roberts moved forward, another officer appearing beside him. Alexander Turner, Michaela Harris, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder. You can't prove anything, Michaela shrieked as the officer approached with handcuffs. It's her word against ours. Actually, Terence stepped forward, holding up a file. We have signed statements from your mechanic, phone records, bank transfers, and surveillance footage from multiple locations. Would you like to revise that statement? Alex's shoulders slumped in defeat. I want a lawyer. Of course you do, I said softly. But first, there's one more thing. I nodded to Melina, who pressed another button. The screen filled with images of bank statements, text messages, and emails. See, while you were planning my death, I was following the money. Interesting things happen when you dig deep enough, like discovering that Alex has been embezzling from his father's company, and Michaela's been helping him hide it. Maxwell's roar of rage echoed through the ballroom. How much? 7 figures, I replied. All carefully hidden in offshore accounts. I've already sent the documentation to your board of directors. The handcuffs clicked around Alex's wrists. Michaela fought against her restraints, mascara and tears streaming down her face. You ruined everything, she screamed at me. You couldn't just die quietly, could you? No, I answered calmly. I couldn't. As the police led them away, the room erupted in chaos. My mother fainted, caught by my father before she hit the floor. Maxwell was already on his phone, barking orders about freezing accounts and calling emergency board meetings. Melina appeared at my side, squeezing my hand. You okay? I watched my sister and husband being escorted out in handcuffs, their perfectly planned future crumbling around them. The weight of the past months lifted from my shoulders, replaced by something that felt almost like peace. You know what's funny? I said, turning to her. They thought I was the weak one, the predictable one. But they never wondered why I was so good at my publishing job. Why's that? Because I've always known that the best stories are the ones where justice wins in the end. I picked up my clutch bag, straightening my spine. Even if you have to write that ending yourself. The ballroom doors closed behind Alex and Michaela, and with them, a chapter of my life ended. But as I looked around at the shocked faces of my family and friends, I knew this wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning of a new one. The police station's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows as I gave my official statement. Detective Roberts recorded everything while Terence sat beside me, now officially acting as my legal counsel. Start from the beginning, Detective Roberts said. When did you first suspect? The lipstick on the wine glass, I replied. But I think part of me knew something was wrong long before that. 3 hours of detailed testimony later, I emerged into the precinct's waiting room. Melina jumped up from her chair, coffee in hand. "They're holding them without bail," she announced. "Maxwell's refusing to pay for Alex's lawyer." "Good." I took the coffee, my hand still shaking slightly. "How are my parents?" "Your dad's with your mum at home. She's processing." My phone buzzed, a text from my father. "We need to talk. Come over when you can." The drive to my childhood home felt surreal. Christmas lights still hung from the porch. Michaela had helped put them up just last month, laughing and singing carols like she wasn't plotting my murder. My mother sat at the kitchen table, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Dad stood behind her, his hand on her shoulder. "Why didn't you tell us?" Mom asked as I sat down. "We could have what?" I kept my voice gentle. "Confronted them? Called the police with no evidence? They would have denied everything." "But we're your parents," she whispered. "We should have known." "Known what?" I reached for her hand. "That your daughters were capable of this? I didn't want to know either." Dad cleared his throat. "The company board is meeting tomorrow. They want you to take Michaela's position." "I can't think about that right now." "You have to," he insisted. "The family business." "The family is broken, Dad." I stood up, pacing the familiar kitchen. "Your youngest daughter tried to kill your oldest. The business can wait." My phone buzzed again. "Maxwell. Need to see you. Office, now." I found him in his corner office, looking out over the city. He turned as I entered, his face aged 10 years in one night. "I've spent 40 years building this company," he said without preamble. "Did you know Alex was stealing all along?" "Not until I started digging." I handed him a flash drive. "Everything's here. Dates, amounts, account numbers." He took it, his hand trembling slightly. "I thought he would inherit all this someday. Now he'll inherit a prison cell." "I'm sorry, Maxwell. Don't be. You did what we all should have done. You paid attention." He straightened his tie. "The board wants to offer you a position." "I know. Dad told me." "Take it." His eyes met mine. "Show them what real leadership looks like." Back at my house, Melina helped me pack. "You can't stay here," she insisted. "Too many memories." "Too many cameras," I corrected, taking down the hidden devices. "I never want to spy on anyone again." My phone rang. An unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Hello, sis." Michaela's voice hollow and strange. "One phone call from jail. Thought I'd make it count." "What do you want?" "To know if it was worth it. Destroying the family like this." "You tried to kill me, Michaela. You and Alex planned my death in my own home." "Because you had everything." Her voice cracked. "The perfect life, Dad's approval, the company future. I just wanted to watch me die." The words hung between us. "To take everything I had." Silence then. "I hate you." "I know. That's why you're in jail and I'm not." I ended the call. Melina watched me carefully. "You okay?" "No." I looked around my half-packed house. "But I will be." The doorbell rang. Detective Roberts with more questions. Behind him, I could see news vans gathering at the end of my driveway. "The story's breaking," he said apologetically. "It'll be everywhere by morning." "Let it," I replied, surprising myself with how little I cared. "Everyone loves a good revenge story." "This isn't revenge," Melina corrected. "This is justice." I thought about Michaela's last words, about Alex's defeated slump, about my mother's tears and Maxwell's shattered dreams. Justice felt a lot like breaking things that could never be fixed. "What now?" Melina asked as Detective Roberts left. I looked at my packed bags, at the empty walls where family photos once hung, at the couch where my husband and sister had plotted my death. "Now," I said, picking up my keys, "we find out what happens after the happy ending isn't so happy." Outside, camera flashes lit up the darkness like lightning. Tomorrow, everyone would know our story. But tonight, in the quiet spaces between justice and grief, I let myself mourn for everything we'd lost, and everything we never had to begin with. The coastal cottage looked nothing like my old house. No grand entrance, no marble countertops, no carefully curated artwork. Just weathered wood, salt air, and endless waves. "It's perfect," Melina declared, setting down the last box. "Nobody would look for you here." That's the point. I opened the windows, letting in the ocean breeze. My phone buzzed. Another news alert about the trial. Alex had taken a plea deal, turning on Michaela in exchange for a lighter sentence. She, in turn, had gone to trial and lost spectacularly. The evidence was too overwhelming, the jury too disgusted by her tearful performance on the stand. "Your mother called again," Melina said, watching me scan the headlines. "She's worried about you hiding away out here." "I'm not hiding, I'm healing." The doorbell rang. Maxwell, holding a thick folder. "The board approved everything," he said, stepping inside. "The company's yours whenever you're ready." "I'm not ready," I replied, taking the folder anyway. "Maybe never will be." "That's what makes you perfect for it." He looked around the modest cottage. "This is different. Different is good." I set the folder aside. "How's Alex?" "Serving 15 years. Maxwell's face hardened. He wrote me a letter, tried to explain himself, as if there could be any explanation for... He stopped, composing himself. "Well, some bridges stay burned." My phone buzzed again. "Detective Roberts, Michaela requesting another meeting, your call." I typed back, "No more meetings, no more words." The detective had kept me updated through the trial, through Michaela's increasingly desperate attempts to contact me, through Alex's calculated betrayal of her in court. Their love story had crumbled as quickly as their murder plot. "The media's calling it the perfect wife's revenge," Melina said, scrolling through her phone. "You're trending again." "They love a good scandal." I walked onto the deck, watching waves crash against rocks below. Nobody wants to hear about the quiet parts. What quiet parts? The nightmares, the way I check my brake lines every morning, how I can't drink coffee anymore because I remember them plotting my death over my favourite blend. Maxwell joined me on the deck. "I've been thinking about justice," he said quietly, "about punishment and consequences. And sometimes the heaviest punishment is living with what you've done." He handed me another envelope. "Alex's share of the company. It's yours now. Do with it what you will." I opened it, studied the numbers, then made a decision I'd been considering for weeks. I want to turn it into a foundation for domestic violence survivors, people trapped in situations they can't escape. Maxwell nodded slowly. "Use their weapon to help others. Poetic." "Not poetry," I corrected. "Purpose." The sun was setting when they left, painting the ocean gold and crimson. I sat on my deck, listening to waves instead of security cameras, breathing salt air instead of suspicion. My phone lit up. A text from my father. "The house feels empty without her." "I know," I replied, "but better empty than poisonous." Another buzz. My mother. "Coming to Sunday dinner?" I looked at the message for a long time. Family dinners, holiday gatherings, shared memories, all tainted now by betrayal. But maybe, like this cottage, we could build something new from the wreckage. "Yes," I typed back. "I'll bring dessert." The last light faded from the sky as I unpacked my final box. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, was the wine glass with Michaela's lipstick print, the first clue that started everything. I'd kept it as a reminder. Walking to the edge of my deck, I held the glass out over the rocks below. One drop, and it would shatter like everything else had. But instead, I brought it back inside, and placed it on my highest shelf, not as a trophy, not as a weapon, but as a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous predators hide in plain sight, and sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one you should watch most carefully. My phone buzzed one last time. Melina. You sure you're okay out there alone? I looked around my new home, at the ocean stretching endless and free before me, at the life I was building from the ashes of betrayal. I'm not alone, I replied. I'm at peace, and for the first time since Alex asked for a break, since Michaela's lipstick marked my wine glass, since I discovered my husband and sister plotting my death, I truly was. Some people might call it running away. I called it running towards something better, something stronger, something true, and this time I was writing my own story,